l'unité politique du continent africain et de la diaspora, de la décolonisation effective et totale de notre continent, le continent africain, la planification économique ici du continent africain. C'est ça le panafricanisme. À quel moment maintenant ça devient encore plus intéressant? Parce que après, quand vous finissez d'expliquer le panafricanisme, il y en a qui vont vous dire que est-ce que le panafricanisme a des points de divergence avec effectivement ici le socialisme ou le marxisme en réalité. Puisque quand vous prenez le marxisme ici ou le socialisme nous dit qu'il veut une société, qui veut organiser, organiser une société qui est basée ici sur la propriété publique ou collective des moyens de production. Il veut avoir une société où le partage des richesses est équilibré entre la substance humaine de la société en réalité. Il veut avoir, le marxisme nous dit qu'il veut avoir une société où ici il y a une planification économique, d'où son caractère scientifique. Et de par la même chose aussi, le panafricanisme vous dit effectivement, je veux une société qui est basée ici sur, effectivement, fondée sur la propriété publique ou collective des moyens de production. Je veux une société également où le partage des richesses ici le partage des richesses ici est égal entre ici la substance humaine de la population, et il veut une société également ici où il y a la planification économique. C'est ça le panafricanisme aussi. Donc, disons qu'ils ont pratiquement les mêmes principes. Ils veulent une société, ils veulent organiser des sociétés sur la base des mêmes principes. Et donc, du coup, on peut dire par là que le panafricanisme n'est pas l'antichambre, n'est pas l'opposé ici du système marxisme. À la seule différence parce qu'il y a la différence avec le système marxiste ou capitaliste, le panafricanisme ne s'intéresse qu'à l'Afrique, et tout ce qui est Afrique, le panafricanisme s'y intéresse. À la différence ici du système marxisme, c'est ça la différence ici, le panafricanisme et l'autre. Maintenant, il y a autre chose qu'il faut vraiment éviter, c'est quoi? C'est de tomber dans certains pièges, parce que ici comme toujours, l'impérialisme s'est donné pour objectif, pour mission ici de continuer à créer la confusion dans la tête de la nouvelle génération afin de nous désorienter sur les problèmes essentiels, les problèmes même brûlants de notre continent, et de nous mettre sur les problèmes totalement périphériques. Ce qu'il faut surtout éviter, ce qui doit être évité par la nouvelle génération. Et puisque l'impérialisme s'est donné pour objectif, pour mission de créer cette confusion dans la tête de la nouvelle génération, nous aussi, nous nous sommes donnés pour devoir et ultime ici, pour mission ultime ici, de clarification des positions, de situer effectivement, de mettre les points sur les i. C'est quoi le panafricanisme? Est-ce qu'il y a des concepts ici? Est-ce qu'il y a plusieurs concepts? C'est très très important ce point-là aussi, parce que vous allez voir aujourd'hui avec les camarades qui vont jusqu'à dire qu'il y a le panafricanisme de gauche, il y a le panafricanisme de droite, il y a le panafricanisme du centre, il y a le panafricanisme modéré et le panafricanisme radical, où ils vont vous parler du panafricanisme révolutionnaire. Retenez à ce niveau aussi qu'il y a qu'un seul panafricanisme. Et ce panafricanisme-là concerne l'Afrique. Et ce panafricanisme-là parle de la réhabilitation, de notre histoire. Ce panafricanisme-là parle ici du développement technique, développement scientifique, développement technologique du continent africain. Parle ici de la libération totale et effective tant sur le plan politique, sur le plan économique, sur le plan culturel ici du continent africain et de sa substance humaine. C'est ça le panafricanisme. Alors soit on est panafricain ou on ne l'est pas du tout. Et ces créateurs aujourd'hui de concepts de gauche, de droite, de centre ou de milieu, tu vas voir généralement que ce sont des jeunes ici de la nouvelle génération qui sont effectivement d'accord avec le capitalisme ou avec l'impérialisme, mais ils veulent aussi être appelés ici panafricains. Alors, comme on a dit, soit on est panafricain ou on ne l'est pas du tout. soit on est pour la domination ou on ne l'est pas, ou on est contre. C'est ça la vérité, parce que le capitalisme et le panafricanisme ne sont pas des systèmes qui vont de pair, sont des systèmes diamétralement opposés. L'autre ici est pour effectivement la primauté de la propriété privée, ça c'est le capitalisme, et tandis que le panafricanisme ici est pour la primauté de la propriété publique ou collective. Il faut effectivement comprendre ces concepts-là ici. Alors c'est ça le panafricanisme. Quand les gens nous disent que le panafricanisme c'est un simple mouvement, c'est pas un simple mouvement. Ça va bien au-delà de ça. C'est une idéologie, comme nous avons dit, tout comme le marxisme, tout comme le communisme, tout comme ici le socialisme. Il faut comprendre les choses comme cela. Le panafricanisme, c'est ça le panafricanisme en réalité. Parce que quand vous prenez nos camarades devanciers, effectivement, qui ont pensé, réfléchi, et conçu et mis en place ici ces systèmes-là, je fais allusion naturellement. C'est d'ailleurs le lieu et place de rendre hommage à ces camarades-là. Le camarade William Dubois, l'un des premiers co-organisateurs des congrès panafricains, le camarade ici, le grand camarade Marcus Garvey, effectivement, avec son fameux slogan Africa for Africans, du camarade bien-aimé Losazefo Kwame Nkrumah, du camarade Ahmed Sékou Touré, du camarade Thomas Sankara, Amical Cabral, de Patrice Emery Lumumba, du camarade Ben Bella, de Gamal Abdel Nasser, pour ne citer que ceci. On les remercie pour ce qu'ils ont fait et nous tâcherons effectivement de continuer d'agir en continuateur constant effectivement de la lutte qu'ils ont commencé. C'est extrêmement important. Alors, puisque le temps pratiquement est imparti, nous allons nous limiter là pour aujourd'hui, effectivement, et en espérant avoir d'autres numéros, d'autres panels aussi, dans lesquels on peut davantage développer ces sujets-là qui est extrêmement important. Vous allez retenir en quelques points que le panafricanisme est une idéologie, tout comme le marxisme est une idéologie politique, économique, culturelle, ici qui a pour but, objectif ultime, ici l'unité politique du continent africain et la décolonisation ici totale et effective de notre continent, la planification économique de notre continent. Et cette décolonisation ici passe forcément par une décolonisation mentale, par une décolonisation de la conscience générale. Et d'où on fait appel ici à la formation idéologique. Et l'autre décolonisation ici dans le domaine économique, technique et technologie nous fait appel à nous former, à nous surformer davantage encore ici dans le domaine scientifique, dans le domaine technique, technologique, dans tous les domaines de la vie qui est extrêmement important. Et il faut retenir aussi que le panafricanisme ne se limite pas seulement qu'à un simple slogan qui consiste à dire à bas l'impérialisme, à bas le capitalisme, à bas la domination étrangère, à bas la domination intérieure aussi. Donc du coup, ce n'est pas ça. Le panafricanisme n'est pas qu'un simple slogan, ni un simple mouvement. Ça ne se limite pas à des slogans. Le panafricanisme ne sert pas seulement aussi à organiser des festivités. Le panafricanisme est bien plus que tout cela là. Il faut comprendre ça. Une fois qu'on aura compris ça, je pense que l'Afrique, l'avenir de l'Afrique sera assuré et la génération montante effectivement évitera de tomber dans certains pièges aussi faciles que la confusion. Pour finir, je vous remercie, je vous invite davantage à vous former, à vous surformer, tout le monde. Moi, quand je vous tutoie, je parle à moi-même, je parle à toute la jeunesse africaine en général. Prêt pour la révolution, c'était votre camarade Alpha Traoré de la Guinée. Encore une fois, merci.
Thank you so much, Comrade Alpha. And I do want to be mindful that introductions should be only 2 minutes as I introduce our next speaker. He is from the Pan-African Union of Sierra Leone, Suleiman Wahid Kimoke. Suleiman Wahid Kimoke is a journalist with over 4 years of experience in print journalism. He holds a bachelor's and a diploma in mass communication from Hura Bay College, University of Sierra Leone, currently a freelance journalist exploring filmmaking and short documentaries. He has been a member of the Pan African Union Sierra Leone for almost a decade now. He is a member of the Information Committee of the Union and one of the organizers of PESO. Please welcome Suleiman Wahid Kimokai.
Sorry, Ivana, it looks like Suleiman was disconnected.
No worries. We are going to go ahead and move forward with the Q&A. Unfortunately, our comrade was disconnected. So give me one moment while we jump over to the next section. So I'm gonna ask some general questions for our panelists. What distinguishes revolutionary Pan-Africanism from cultural or liberal Pan-Africanism? And any of you can go first. Ashlyn, would you like to tackle the question first?
Hi, Ivana. Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. What distinguishes revolutionary Pan-Africanism from cultural or liberal Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, I think this is an important question because, yes, Pan-Africanism is not just Pan-Africanism because we have a revolutionary Pan-Africanism and bourgeois, or what we term as reformist Pan-Africanism. But for us to understand this question, I think we need first to go into the roots. I'll say that the struggle for Pan-Africanism started way before the formation of the Organization of African Unity, and it was anchored on the long decades of African descent, and those in Africa have been subjected to. So even during the Asian Revolution, there are aspects of Pan-Africanism, and all through the defiance and the resistance of our people, there have been elements of Pan-Africanism. So this explains its initial ideological underpinning, which is more radical, or as radical tendencies. So it is not the correct kind of analysis of how do we want to understand Pan-Africanism that is anchored on scientific socialism. So, and we cannot put too much blame on these tendencies that were there before, because they arose as a the white supremacy and the racial prejudice. And, our people are unable to talk about all the oppressed and periods of transatlantic slave trade, which made the possibility of the exploitation of the African resource and African cheap labor. Pan-Africanist leaders like the or W. They manufactured their path to emancipation, validity on the aspect of Pan-Africanism, because
Ashlyn has been disconnected.
Hopefully she will be back on soon. But before we continue with our questions, I want to bring on back Comrade Suleiman Wahi Kimokai with the Party of Sierra Leone. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Comrade.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be around. I am Sulaiman Wai Kemokai from the Pan-African Union, Sierra Leone. I don't know what you are. Hello.
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
I said I don't know. I can't hear her. That's my problem. I can't hear her.
Oh, this is your speech. If you don't mind talking a little bit about your work with the Pan-African Union of Sierra Leone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Well, Pan-African Union Sierra Leone was an organization founded in 1981. It was born out of the struggle for the emancipation of masses in Sierra Leone during the days of Shaka Stevens rule. We as students and market women came together to form PANAF. So PANAF has been in existence for over 40 years, and we have been organizing market women, youth, and every sector of it, especially in students and every sector of society. And yesterday, we held our annual ALD, the African Liberation Day, at the Ebenezer Centenary Hall, where market women, students, and every sector of society we are present. PANAF has been engaging in building mass movements for the past 5 years now. We set up the Pan-African Coalition. We are like-minded organizations like Masani, Project Opportunity, Culture Radio, Pan-Africano, Rule Movement. These organizations, which are like-minded to African liberation, came together and started because we wanted to build a mass movement, because Pan-Africa as a whole cannot do it. So we wanted to build a mass movement of progressive alike. So we have been doing that in the last 5 years. And we have been doing outreach. We have Pan-Africa structure, we have the women's thing, and we have the students, which I've been part of since 2015. I've been part of the PESO, which is Pan-African Youth Organization, Pan-African Youth Student Organization, which is a branch of PANAFO. I've been part of it since 2015. We have been organizing with schools around Freetown and other major headquarter towns. And we have branches at FBC, which probably called the oldest university in Sub-Saharan Africa. We have been engaging youth here. We have youth. Tomorrow, on the 26th, there will be a program held at the Kingston Auditorium where PESO was involved in organizing that as part of the African Liberation Day. So we have been doing work. We have a school, a preschool where we target young kids from age 0 to 5 years, and we have a literary center wherein we target market women who are illiterate to come and learn skills and trade. So this is what PANAF has been doing the last 40 years. in Sierra Leone. And ultimately, our goal is to merge with progressives around Sierra Leone to form a political movement which will contest the political power. Hello.
Thank you, Salome.
Hello?
Sorry, so much of an echo on my end. I was saying thank you, comrade. I appreciate the
Okay.
introduction. So I'm going to have us jump right into the questions. I wanted to circle back on the question I had asked earlier to get some other comrades' inputs. What distinguishes revolutionary Pan-Africanism from cultural or liberal Pan-Africanism? Brother Alpha, would you mind answering this question?
Merci beaucoup, camarades. J'espère que, encore une fois, tout le monde va bien. Quand vous posez la question que c'est quoi le panafricanisme révolutionnaire, il est très important d'abord de comprendre que c'est quoi le panafricanisme en réalité. Parce que quand nous prenons ici le panafricanisme, sa jeunesse, sa naissance, comment est né le panafricanisme? Je pense que le panafricanisme est né ici de la résistance des Noirs pour s'opposer effectivement ici à la domination, à l'oppression, à l'humiliation. Donc, le panafricanisme est né de la même manière que le socialisme ou le marxisme. Donc, dire aujourd'hui qu'il y a le panafricanisme de gauche, le panafricanisme révolutionnaire ou le panafricanisme bourgeois, je pense que nous sommes en train nous-mêmes de nous affaiblir. Il n'y a qu'un seul panafricanisme. Donc, soit on est panafricain ou on n'est pas panafricain. Nos dévanciers qui ont mis en place ce système-là, ils ont mis en place un seul système, le système panafricaniste. Donc, ils n'ont pas créé le panafricanisme modéré, le panafricanisme révolutionnaire ou le panafricanisme capitaliste. Donc, quand nous-mêmes nous commençons à créer ces concepts-là, je pense que nous serons même la cause même de notre faillite d'abord. On ne va pas continuer, on ne va pas pouvoir continuer. Ce que nous devons faire, il n'y a qu'un seul panafricanisme. Et ce panafricanisme-là, c'est une idéologie politique, économique, culturelle et sociale qui a pour objectif ici l'unité totale de l'unité politique du continent africain et de la diaspora. Et ce panafricanisme-là a pour objectif ici la décolonisation totale et effective du continent africain. Donc, du coup, commencer à dire qu'il y a le panafricanisme de gauche et le panafricanisme de droite, je pense que nous allons encore une fois nous affaiblir. Nous avons besoin de l'unité, nous avons besoin d'aller ensemble. Bien sûr, il y a des gens qui vont se faire appeler qui sont panafricains, mais ce n'est pas parce que aujourd'hui, malheureusement, tous les Africains ne sont pas panafricains. Il faut avoir le courage de le dire. Parce que simplement, ces Africains-là, ils sont d'accord avec la domination. Ils sont d'accord avec le pillage de nos ressources. Ils sont d'accord avec tous les principes du capitalisme. Donc, ces gens-là, on ne peut pas, pour moi, les appeler panafricains. Ils ne sont pas panafricains. Ils sont certes africains de peau, mais dans l'idée, l'idéologie, l'idéal, comme le panafricanisme nous recommande, ils ne sont pas panafricains. Donc, du coup, il ne faut pas qu'on va commencer, à mon avis, il ne faut pas qu'on va commencer à créer des thèmes ici. Bien sûr, je parle sous le contrôle de mes aînés, des camarades qui sont là. Certainement, ils ont d'autres angles d'analyse plus que moi aussi, mais je pense qu'il n'y a qu'un seul panafricanisme. Pour me résumer, et ce panafricanisme-là, comme j'ai dit, c'est une idéologie politique, une idéologie économique, une idéologie ici culturelle qui a pour objectif ici la réhabilitation des valeurs africaines, la réhabilitation ici de la culture africaine. Et tout ça doit être fait quoi? Autour d'un idéal, l'idéal politique. Et cette politique-là doit unifier le continent africain avec sa diaspora. Voilà un peu ma position vis-à-vis du panafricanisme. Donc, du coup, encore une fois, restons dans le cadre-là. Il ne faut pas qu'on essaie de créer nous-mêmes des concepts pour effectivement créer la confusion dans la tête ici de la nouvelle génération. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, comrade. And this question is for everyone, so y'all feel free to answer however. How does revolutionary Pan-Africanism view national borders within Africa? Are they legitimate or remnants of colonialism?
Ivan. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashlyn.
Yes. I think because of my shaky network, I'll not put on my video. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to remind everyone, though, we have 2 minutes for responses.
Okay. So on the question on our view on national borders within Africa, I think Africa has a long history and has been a beacon of resistance and intellectual awakening in the fight against imperialism. And every day is a constant reminder of the indelible contribution of the masses of our people towards the unfinished liberation struggles. So talk also of revolutionary Pan-African unity and constructing a socialist future for Africa and beyond. So revolutionary Pan-Africanism views national borders within Africa as an illegitimate remnants of colonialism, continued imperialism, which is imposed to divide, weaken the African people, and derail the peoples and popular movements that are coming up strongly to, defiantly try to challenge the kind of imperial shackles that have been embedded on the continent. So most of Africa's current borders, as we know, were drawn during the scramble and partition of Africa, with the Berlin Conference in 1884 by the colonial powers. And this was done with no regard for the African historical realities, not even their ethnicity, their culture, and their orientation. So these artificial borders were sort of divisions. They were tools of imperial domination intended to facilitate resource extraction, labor extraction, and even expropriation of African markets, and prevent the unified resistance and to entrench neo-colonial system. At the moment, I think it's important for us to speak about, to actually know why there is distinction of revolutionary Pan-Africanism and why is it critical in the current phase of our struggle. Because we are in a neo-colonial system. So these borders were preserved by our backward post-independence regimes, rather than them dismantling the then imposed structures. And it was purposefully for them to assume control and continue to serve the imperialist interest. So this comparator and bureaucratic class who had rented intermediaries, their local agents of foreign capital, are tasked here in the African countries and other neo-colonial countries, and could be outside Africa. But they are not here to build sovereign nation. They're not here to ensure that the needs of our people are met, but they're here to manage subsidiaries for transnational corporations and ensure that the interests of the Western imperialists are at the core of what they do. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you, comrade, for this explanation. Did anybody else want to tackle the question? Comrade Suleiman?
Yeah. What I want to the concept about like Africa and Pan-Africanism, um, Pan-Africanism, culture, and revolution. I think they are intertwined. There is not much. Um, there is not much divergence between them. Just believe that we as progressive as Pan-Africanists, we should make the line clear that Africa is one. We want to achieve continental unity because it's been 141 years since the partition of Africa. If we want to achieve African unity, it should be a deliberate effort from Pan-Africanists in the continent and in diaspora, Africans in the continent and in diaspora, emphasizing that culture is a tool of our evolution. Without culture, we can't achieve the total liberation, unification, and development of Africa. So if we are talking about the difference between colonialism, culture and progressive Pan-Africanism, I think there is just a thin line. Some culture to divide, or while other people, we believe that Pan-Africans, we must use these cultures, our culture in Africa, to unite us because the things that unite us are greater than the things that divide us.
Right on, comrade. Revolutionary Pan-Africanism or perish. I do have a few more questions for y'all. Is revolutionary Pan-Africanism still relevant in today's political climate, and why or why not?
If I may continue, I believe without revolution is an entity. Pan-Africanism is another entity on its own. So putting together a revolutionary Pan-Africanism, that's an old concept on its own. So we say it's relevant today, because some revolutions are not good. Some revolutions are not progressive. For example, we have seen military leaders military juntas who overthrow government in Africa. You see what they do. They are very neo-colonialist in nature, in practice, in everything. Traore Burkina Faso is an example of evolutionary Pan-Africanism, which is necessary. That should be our goal. That should be like a focus point for everybody, every African who believes in evolutionary Pan-Africanism, seeing that what Traore is doing is like an evolutionary Pan-Africanism in another words means the total liberation, unification, and development of Africa. That can't happen without the total liberation, unification, and development of Africa. Can't happen without evolutionary Pan-Africanism, because as Nkrumah said, it's a organization besides everything. So we can achieve revolutionary Pan-Africanism by building organizations like the APRP, PANAFO, and other organizations around Africa, which will ultimately lead into the development of Africa, where we're going to ban us. So for us to achieve unity in Africa, it's only Pan-Africanism. And it can't happen without evolution. Evolution means to the masses. Evolution to the masses. We're in political education, educate the masses about their conditions and how they can come out of these conditions to develop themselves. So through evolutionary Pan-Africanism, we can achieve that goal. So it's necessary. It's right now. I believe it's the time now for evolutionary Pan-Africanism, because capitalism by extension, which is slavery and colonialism, it's dying. So for us to achieve the unity of Africa, which is the ultimate goal of Pan-Africanism, the evolution through political education of the masses. That's why it's necessary to the concept of Africa and Pan-Africanism.
Thank you, comrade, for that insightful. Thank you, comrades, actually, for that insightfulness on revolutionary Pan-Africanism. I'm going to pass it on to Comrade Rashad so that we can highlight some revolutionary work with some awards.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you to our panelists. Our struggle is really global, and you can see it through Comrade Suleiman from Sierra Leone, Comrade Ashland from Kenya, and then our Comrade Alpha Traore from Guinea. So yeah, that's amazing, and we thank our panelists for discussing revolutionary Pan-Africanism. And again, we want to remind everybody to speak slow for our interpreters. And also, if you are just joining us and you're having issues with the interpretations, on your Zoom, there should be a button that says more, and when it pops up, there should be a global icon with a globe on it, and you should be able to access the interpretations from there. And so now we will take it to the Kwame Ture Black Star Awards to highlight some of the comrades and some of the organizations doing great work in the African liberation struggle all around the globe. So thank you.
The next recipient of the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labor Award is the Union of Nigerian Students. The Union of Nigerian Students is a prominent student and educational union in Niger established to represent the interests of students from primary through higher education. Founded in 1960, the USN has played a pivotal role in advocating for educational reforms, student rights, and social justice within the country. The USN traces its origins to July 1958, with formal registration as an organization under Niger's Ministry of the Interior on January 2, 1959. Its statutes, submitted by sociologist Jules Delaya, came into effect on July 16, 1960, marking the official founding date. The founding members were affiliated with smaller groups experienced in organizing protests and demonstrations, such as the Union of Nigerian Students in Dakar and the Nigerian Students Association in France. Ideologically, the USN aligned with leftist movements, drawing inspiration from the Federation of Black African Students in France and the West African Students Union. The USN encompasses various sectorial associations, including the Union of Nigerian Students of University of Niamey, which represents students at the University of Niamey. The UENUN acronym operates with an executive committee comprising 6 members, a general secretary, an academic and social affairs secretary, a press secretary, and a sports and cultural affairs secretary, along with respective assistants. Additionally, the USN maintains sections abroad to represent the interests of the Nigerian diaspora. Throughout its history, the USN has been instrumental in advocating for educational reforms and student rights. Notably, in February 1990, the UENUN organized a demonstration to protest against the privatization of university services and the withholding of scholarships. The protest escalated into violent clashes with security forces, resulting in the deaths of several students, an event now known as the Kennedy Bridge Massacre. This incident significantly contributed to the erosion of support for the regime of President Ali Saibu. In 1990, the USN was officially recognized as an organization by the state, and its delegates participated in the 1991 National Conference that facilitated Niger's transition to a multi-party democracy. The USN has continued to advocate for students' rights, and it is a member of the All African Students Union, AASU, an organization that unites student unions from all across the African continent. This affiliation underscores the USN's commitment to continental solidarity and collaboration in addressing educational and social issues affecting students in Africa. The Union of Nigerian Students stands as a testament to the resilience and activism of Nigerian students. Through its historical and ongoing efforts, the USN continues to be a vital force in advocating for educational equity, social justice, and the rights of students in Niger and beyond. Peace Africans, my name is Day, and I'm going to be listing the recipients of the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labor Award. The Kwame Ture Black Star of Labor Award began originally as the Black Star of Labor Award. Following the transition of the immortal Kwame Ture to the Ancestors in 1998, the award was renamed after him. Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael, spent his entire life in service to African people and all of humanity. This service was manifested in his tireless work to organize African people for revolutionary change against capitalism, imperialism, and white supremacy, and for Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under one unified socialist government. Throughout his life, Kwame Ture was in various organizations: the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Black Panther Party, and so forth, because he knew that only the masses, properly organized, can defeat the enemy of the people and bring about a new day. The first recipient of the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labor Award was originally our beloved ancestor Yahya Ibrahim Hassan Sinwar, who was born October 29th, 1962, and martyred October 16th, 2024. Yahya Sinwar was a prominent Palestinian militant leader and the head of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. He served as the chairman of Hamas's political bureau from August 2024 until his death in October 2024. Sinwar was known for his hardline stance against Israel and his role in orchestrating major attacks, including the October 7th, 2023 assault on Israel. Sinwar was born in the Khan Yunis refugee camp in the Gaza Strip to a family displaced during the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. He completed his studies at the Islamic University of Gaza, earning a bachelor's degree in Arabic studies. During his time at university, he became involved in Palestinian nationalist student organizations and was detained for his participation in anti-occupation organizing. In the late 1980s, Sinwar joined Hamas and became one of its founding members. He played a significant role in establishing Hamas's internal security apparatus, known as Majid, which was responsible for purging suspected collaborators with Israel. His brutal methods earned him the nickname Butcher of Khan Yunis. In 1988, he was arrested by Israel for his involvement in the abduction and killing of 2 Israeli soldiers and 4 Palestinians suspected of collaboration, leading to a sentence of 4 life terms. During his imprisonment, Sinwar reportedly studied his adversaries, including learning Hebrew. Sinwar was released in 2011 as part of a prisoner exchange deal involving Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. His release was facilitated by his brother's involvement in Shalit's capture. Upon his release, Sinwar quickly ascended within Hamas's ranks, becoming a senior leader known for his hardline stance and strategic acumen. In August 2024, Sinwar was appointed as the undisputed leader of Hamas, succeeding Ismail Haniyeh. He was a key architect of the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, which resulted in the deaths of approximately 1,200 people and the taking of 250 hostages. On October 16, 2024, Sinwar was killed in a targeted Israeli airstrike in Rafah, Gaza Strip. The strike was part of Israel's military operation, aimed at dismantling Hamas's leadership following the October 7th attacks. US President Joe Biden confirmed his death, stating that Sinwar was responsible for the deaths of thousands, including over 1,200 Israelis and 46 Americans. Sinwar's leadership of Hamas was marked by his uncompromising approach to resistance against Israel and his strategic use of violence. Since his death, his brother Mohammed Sinwar, known as the Shadow, has taken command, and the Palestinian resistance continues to wage an unrelenting struggle in pursuit of the total liberation of Palestine. Accepting the award on Yahya al-Sinwar's behalf is revolutionary Western Sahara political prisoner activist Sultana Khaya. Sultana Khaya is a prominent Sahrawi human rights activist known for her steadfast advocacy for the independence of Western Sahara and the self-determination of its people. Born in 1986 in Bojadour, a city in the occupied territories of Western Sahara, she has become a symbol of resistance against the Moroccan occupation. Haya is the president of the Sawadi League for the Defense of Human Rights and the Protection of Western Sahara's national resources in occupied Boujdour. She is also a member of the Sawadi Commission against the Moroccan occupation. Through these organizations, she has organized peaceful demonstrations, denounced human rights abuses, and advocated for the end of violence against Sawadi women. Since November 2020, Haya has been subjected to de facto house arrest by Moroccan security forces. Her home has been surrounded, and she has been denied basic necessities such as electricity and running water. Attempts to leave her house have resulted in threats and physical assaults. In November 2021, Haya and her family endured a violent raid by Moroccan security forces. She was sexually assaulted, and her sisters and mother were also victims of physical and sexual violence. During the assault, Haya was forcibly injected with an unknown substance, leading to severe health complications. Haya's activism has come at a personal cost. In 2007, during a peaceful demonstration, she lost her right eye due to a blow from a Moroccan policeman. Despite receiving treatment in Spain and returning to the occupied territories to continue her activism, she faced continuous repression. Haya has consistently called for international solidarity to support the Sawadi people's struggle for freedom and independence. She urges global leaders to prioritize human rights over political interests, emphasizing that the rights of the Sawadi women should not be compromised. Sultana Haya remains a resilient and influential figure in the fight for Sawadi self-determination. Her courage in the face of severe repression highlights the ongoing struggle for justice and human rights in Western Sahara.
Thank you, comrade. We appreciate that. And then, yeah, we want to give just a real big shout out to all of our awardees for their amazing work. So yeah, we obviously want to give a shout out and a big shout out to Comrade Yahya Senwar, and obviously the Union of Nigerian Students. So right now we will pass it to Comrade Sultana Kaya, who was just discussed in the bio previously. So take it away, Comrade Sultana.
في البداية أرحب بالحضور الكريم، ويشرفني عني اليوم نشارك معكم في اليوم اللي هو يوم الاتحاد الإفريقي، ويشرفني كمرأة من الاتحاد الإفريقي. والحقيقة يعني يعجز اللسان عني نتكلم أمامكم وأنتم كاملين هون مناضلات ومناضلين يكافحوا من أجل الحرية والكرامة. المهم أنت مواصلة. صح. يشرفني مولي بهذا العنوان اللي هو يتكلم عن يحيى السنوار. الحقيقة يحيى السنوار نموذج للحرية، نموذج الكرامة، ونموذج الحقيقة بصفته هو استشهد في الصفوف الأمامية. ونحيي من هذا المنبر الحر، نحيي كل الفلسطينيين والفلسطينيات اللي اليوم تياها سنتين ماشيين فيها في هذا من الاضطهاد، هذه الإبادة الجماعية المعدة لهم، الأطفال والمجاعة. والحقيقة هذا يوسف اليوم تأسفوا في هذا اليوم اللي هي 2025 اللي مازالت الناس تعيش بهذه الصفة وبهذا الاضطهاد وبهذا يفضل حد عن حد. هما كشعب فلسطيني كيف صفتي عني كصحراوية، هم اللي آخر مستعمر في إفريقيا، واللي هي هم اللي فلسطين مستعمرة من طرف الإسرائيليين. يعني عني نتأسف لهم باللي عايشة معاناة الاحتلال واضطهاد الاحتلال وويلات الاحتلال المغربي اللي عشت بصفتي كصحراوية وكمناضلة. ونحييكم كاملين. هذه البداية بعد عني نحييكم ونحيي كل مرأة أفريقية تدافع عن حرية وعن الكرامة. وشرفني بصفتي كصحراوية، بس شرفني مولي أني كإفريقية. نحييكم كاملين. والحقيقة يعني شاركت معايا واحدة من رفيقات إنديا في الاتحاد في ذكرى 50 للمرأة الصحراوية، لاتحاد النساء الصحراوية في مخيمات العز والكرامة، واللي يعني أنا راي شافت هي مقاومة المرأة الصحراوية ودفاع المرأة الصحراوية وكفاح المرأة الصحراوية عن قضيتها. بصفتي أنا عشت في الجزء المحتل من الصحراء الغربية، واللي عشت وخالقة تحت وطية الاحتلال، وعشت كيف عاشوا النساء الصحراويات كاملات. النساء الصحراويات نحييهم من هون باسمي وباسمكم كاملين. نحيي المرأة الصحراوية على كفاحها وعلى مقاومتها اللي كافحت في هذه 51 سنة هي عايشة في اللجوء، واللي عاشت تحت وطية الاحتلال، عاشت ويلات الاحتلال، وعاشت السجون، وعاشت القتل، وعاشت تردم في مقابر جماعية. وللأسف عنا كأن نساء صحراويات عنا تأسفوا لذا العالم كامل اللي يعني عنه هذا التعتيم الإعلامي اللي اليوم ياسر من الناس ما هو قاعد عايش القضية الصحراوية ولا هو عارف المعاناة اللي عانت المرأة الصحراوية. المرأة الصحراوية جزء من المرأة الأفريقية، حتى هي اللي عانت في سيرة حياتها كاملة. حتى المرأة الصحراوية تعاني ومازالت إلى اليوم تعاني. عانينا التعذيب، عانينا الاغتصاب، عانينا القتل، عانينا الانتهاكات الجسيمة لحقوق الإنسان على جميع أشكالها. وبصفتي كيف تكلمت واحدة من الرفيقات والأخوات ونشكرها على هاي المعاناة اللي عانيت بصفتي، راني معاناة بسيطة مع المعاناة اللي عانتها المرأة الصحراوية من 75 إلى يومنا هذا. عانيت جميع أشكال الانتهاكات الجسيمة، التعذيب، الاغتصاب، الضرب. يعني عني في شبابي وفي عز شبابي فقدت عيني الأمنة، هذه العين فقدتها على طرف جلادة الاحتلال المغربي وبوليسهم يبطوني لا لشيء إلا أني قلت عني صحراوية وعن هذا العلم الوطني أنه ما يتم لا يرتفع، وعننا نتم نكافحوا من أجل تقرير مصيرنا ومن أجل استقلالنا وبنيان الدولة الصحراوية الجمهورية العربية الصحراوية الديمقراطية. تم فقع عيني وتم رقما ما يحاكم الجلاد وحاكمت أنا، ونحكم علي ب8 أشهر سجن النافذة أنا ومجموعة من الطلبة الصحراويين. غير هذا ما ردنا، تمينا مواصلين الحمد لله في نضالنا وفي كفاحنا عن قضيتنا. واللي كان يعني آخر هذا كامل كانت المسيرة كاملة تعذيب، وكانت اعتقالات، وكانت ضرب، وكانت يعني علية تمارس علي بجميع أشكال الانتهاكات الجسيمة لحقوق الإنسان. في 2020 يوم 19 نوفمبر اللي هي كان يوم 13 استئناف الكفاح المسلح اللي يعني اخترقوا الاحتلال المغربي، واللي هي كانت الحرب بدات علينا ومازالت متواصلة إلى يومنا هذا. منين عاد ذاك كنت في اسبانيا ومشيت للمناطق المحتلة نشارك في معاناة الشعبي هي اللي عارفة عنها منين جات الحرب، منين تعود علينا كيف حرب من 75 إلى 91 اللي كنا نعيشوا اختطافات ونعيشوا يعني على اعتقالات وفي المخابر السرية، وكنا ذا كامل نفس اللي يعني مشيت عني ندور نعيش مع معاناة الشعبي. ومنين جيت المناطق المحتلة يعني تم من العيون، قضيت في العيون ووصلت قايسة مدينة بوجدود، وتم يعني عني في ذيك الطريق يعني مارس عليا ياسر من الانتهاكات. ومنين وصلت مدينة بوجدود المحتلة يعني حاجزوني بطريقة همجية، رفدوني من السيارة، جردوني من ملابسي في مخفر الشرطة، تم تعذيبي، تم يعني عندي الممارسة علي على جميع الأشكال. أنا مجرد لباسي وهم يعني عنهم كاملين هم اللي مشاركين في هاي الجريمة، ومنين فوت تقريبا ساعة ونص هذا النوع من الانتهاكات الجسيمة لحقوق الإنسان. مشيت مباشرة منين الخاوني، مشيت لمنزل عائلتي ولقيته ثكن عسكري. ومنين دخلت يعني بطريقة دخلت رفدوني وزرقوني، يعني عنهم ربطوه من جميع الشرطة إلى جميع التلاوينها وحجزوا ذا يعني عنه، وتم اعتقالي داخل منزل عائلتي، تم ضرب والدتي، وتم يعني عنها الدقدق فقرة من ظهرها، لا تم عندها علاج، كانت تعالج في المنزل. ونفس الشيء شقيقتي الواعرة اللي هي حجزوا معايا وسجنوا معايا في داخل المنزل، بضربة على الراس اللي نزف دمها، وكانت بدون علاج بدون أي شيء. وواصلوا علينا المغاربة مدة سنة وسبعة أشهر نحن مسجون. منزل عائلتنا عاد لا كيف غزة ضريق، مضروب من جميع الأشكال، مدمر ودمر نحن في داخله، ويكبوا علينا المواد السامة، وكبوا علينا يعني عنا نوع من الانتهاكات. يدخلوا علينا مقنعين في 3 ولا 4 ليلة، ومنين يدخلوا علينا يعني تم اغتصابنا وتم تجريدنا من ملابسنا وتم ضربنا وتم تعذيبنا، ويكبوا علينا ذيك السامة، المادة السامة. هذا فوت علينا مدة سنة وسبعة أشهر. اللي يعني عنه كان آخر شيء مجموعة من أمريكا اللي ووصلت إلى مدينة بوجدور من أجل إنقاذ حياتي وحياة والدتي واختي شقيقتي اللي عشنا بهذه الانتهاكات، واللي أنا والدتي مازالت بهذه الصدمة، وشقيقتي مازالت بدون علاج بدون دواء. المنزل العائلة مازال محاصر، يعني ضرك خالي يقر يعني عنه حاصروه، منعوه نهائيا عنه تلاقي حد ولا ذا كامل. يعني عنه هذا هو حال الشعب الصحراوي في الجزء المحتل من أرضنا ومن وطننا. سجناءنا محكوم عليهم مؤبد وب20 وب30 سنة وب25 وغيرها. والشباب الصحراوي قبضوا نوع من هذه المواد اللي بهذه الباطل، دروغة وذا الشيء، المخدرات يستعملوه الشباب الصحراوي باش يضيع. جيد الشباب اليوم في السجون، شبابنا نقولوا بصفتنا عنه الشباب خسر نهائيا. وهذه هي حالة الاحتلال اللي يمارس علينا، مشتتنا يعني عن اللي عايش في اللجوء بعيد عن الوطن، واللي عايش في الوطن يعني عايش بلا حرية وبلا كرامة. يا غير هذا ما هو لي اثنين كنساء صحراويات وكنساء إفريقيات، عندما هو لي اثنين عن دفاعنا وعن كفاحنا وعن مقاومتنا من أجل الاستقلال ومن أجل الحرية، وندافع عن المرأة. ما هي لا المرأة الصحراوية، ندافع عن المرأة الإفريقية، وبالفعل عن صوتنا صوت المرأة الإفريقية. ونشكر كل مرأة أفريقية تدافع عن المرأة الصحراوية. ويشرفني مشاركتي اليوم معاكم، ويشرفني بصفتي كصحراوية، بصفتي كإفريقية، عني اليوم نشارك مع هذو النساء الأحرارات وذو الرجال اللي دافعوا. ومسيرة طويلة بين اللي نحن نعرفوا التاريخ الإفريقي كامل والاتحاد الإفريقي، ونتمنى عن الاتحاد الإفريقي يعود ما فيه دولة محتلة اللي هي آخر دولة محتلة ومستعمرة هي الجمهورية العربية الصحراوية الديمقراطية. واللي عنده سؤال يعني عنه يتفضل به. ونشكركم كاملين ونحييكم ونشكركم جزيل الشكر.
Also accepting the award on Yahya El-Sinwar's behalf is revolutionary activist and political prisoner advocate of Samidun and Masar Badil, Khalid Barakat. Khalid is a Palestinian-Canadian activist and writer, and a prominent figure in the international cradle of resistance for Palestinian liberation. He currently sits on the executive committee for Masar Badil, the Palestinian Alternative Revolutionary Path movement, coordinating resistance globally from Lebanon. Khalid founded Samidun, Palestinian Prisoners Solidarity Network, in 2011 with his wife, Charlotte Cates, who currently sits as Samidun's international coordinator. Khalid is also a leader and founder of Masar Badil, which launched in 2021 with the mission of rejecting projects of colonial authority like the Madrid Peace Conference and the subsequent Oslo Accords, in favor of a more revolutionary path that is based in humanistic principles and values in which the Palestinian people value, such as work, solidarity, sacrifice, and equality. Massar sees this commitment as a renewal for the national movement in the diaspora and a milestone in the history of Palestinian people on the road to achieving liberation and return from the river to the sea. Massar Badil has hosted multiple student conferences since their founding, one of which I was able to attend last October, and it was wonderful. In addition to all of his wonderful accomplishments, Khalid has also been viciously attacked by the US and Canadian states. On October 15, 2024, in a joint action with Canada, the U.S. Department of the Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, designated Samidung as a sham charity that serves as an international fundraising front for the PFLP. They also designated Khalid as having acted or purported to act on or behalf of, directly or indirectly, the PFLP. Canada designated Samidung as a terrorist entity under the Criminal Code. Despite these various vicious Western attacks which have sought to demoralize and discredit Khalid, his resolve remains unshaken. He continues to advocate for the axis of resistance. He continues to educate the masses on imperialism, and he continues to organize students globally. We echo his calls for and in support of the axis of resistance and the International Cradle of Resistance. Khalid has also promised us that he was going to give this award to the family of our glorious martyr, Yahya al-Sinwar, and for that we are extremely grateful. Thank you.
Hello, comrades. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Comrades, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all, and revolutionary greetings from our comrades in the Massar Badil, the Palestinian Alternative Revolutionary Path Movement. We are honored to participate and to be present at this important event today, African Liberation Day, and the presentation of the Kwame Ture Black Star of Labor Award as the trusted entity to receive this honor and to convey it to the family and the brothers of the great Palestinian national leader, the martyr Yahya Sinwar Abu Ibrahim. I am also here to express the greetings from the brothers and sisters of the resistance movement that martyr Sinwar led, not just in Gaza, but also in the Zionist prisons and throughout Palestine, the Islamic resistance movement Hamas. He was a voice of unity, a great fighter who led by example, and a leader who was always in the front line of the battle. This award only affirms the historical and powerful relationship between the Palestinian liberation movement and the Black and African liberation movement. We have always been inspired by your sacrifices, martyrs, and revolutionary leaders. It makes us even prouder to be with you today as we celebrate the Day of Liberation and Resistance here in Lebanon, when on May 25th, 2000, we achieved the historic victory against the Zionist occupation of South Lebanon. This was the first armed victory against the colony of Israel since its establishment in 1948. Comrades, as you know, the Palestinian people today are facing genocide in the past 20 months. Over 53,000 martyrs have been killed at the hands of the Zionist criminal regime and its war machine. Over 130,000 have been injured. Israel, with the backing of the United States and Western imperialism, has waged a war of ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people, particularly in Gaza. And despite all these Zionist crimes, our people will continue the march of the revolution till the end of this colonial settler project, and our land will be free from the river to the sea. Today, we want to express our salutes and thanks to the All African People Revolutionary Party for your commitment and for your principled position. We extend our revolutionary salutes to all of those who are fighting imperialism in the belly of the beast and on the front lines of confrontation. It is necessary to say that the victory and accomplishments of your struggle will be a victory not only for Palestine, but for the entire continent of Africa and the global South. It will be a victory for humanity. The Palestinian Liberation Movement and the African Liberation Movement are twins in many ways. Palestinians remember the principled positions of the Black Panthers, of the anti-colonial African revolutionary leaders. We recall the great leader Malcolm visits to Gaza on September 5th, 1964, and the article he wrote about the struggle of our people in Palestine. This echoes in our hearts and minds as if it were written yesterday. His march towards revolution was carried by Kwame Ture, and now it is carried by all of you. The great Palestinian revolutionary writer Ghassan Kanafani said once that Palestine is not only the cause of the Palestinian people, but it is the cause of every revolutionary of the oppressed and exploited masses of our era. The new Palestinian generation of youth in Palestine and in the diaspora see the great brother martyr Yahya Sinwar, much like Black and African revolutionaries view Khomeini Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, and Amilcar Cabral. Both of our people in Palestine and in Africa are struggling against the same enemy. As there is an African diaspora, there is a Palestinian diaspora. And because of our people in exile, we are able to turn this into a powerful arena to build bridges with liberation movements around the world. And while our enemy seeks to send us to subjugation, isolation, and refugee camps and ghettos, and destruction, we have made every camp a front of struggle and every arena a place for our liberation movement, whether in the homeland or in the belly of the beast. There is no better time to be clear in our thoughts and our revolutionary political strategies. The alternative to capitalism is socialism. The alternative to war is peace with justice. The alternative to oppression is liberation. It is in these times when the Trump administration is launching new attacks against any efforts to defend African land from colonization. This is akin to the Zionist attempts to define themselves as victims. But the world is waking up. It is clear to all that the imperialists and Zionists are the war criminals, the butchers, the enemies of humanity. Africans are playing today a leading role in working to hold Zionist war criminals accountable at legal and popular level. And with the leadership of the Palestinian resistance in Gaza, decided to launch the October 7th operation, Tufan al-Aqsa. They said that we are going to change the course of history. They were right. They knew that this task requires a clear vision and unbroken commitment to action, revolutionary action. Change, brothers and sisters, will only come through revolution. All other options are either futile or compromised. Africa is changing with the will of its sons and daughters to break the chains. And Israel, that has boasted about their influence over Africa, is today being defeated by the revolutionary and conscious movements across the continent. We are about to witness the birth of a new era, where the son of Africa and the Arab homeland will rise again. On behalf of the Masar Badil, the Palestinian resistance, we thank you again We salute you, and together we will defeat imperialism, Zionism, and fascism. Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. Our great continent, the Arab and African continent, will be free from coast to coast. Resistance is no longer a choice, it is a duty. Victory is imminent, and imperialism and Zionism will be defeated. Thank you so much, comrades, again, for making us part of this important event. And together we will win, and only together we will be victorious. Thank you.
SG, voilà. Voilà, donc, ok.
En fait, c'est une attestation qui est présentée par le Parti révolutionnaire de tous les peuples africains, une organisation internationale qui existe dans plusieurs pays. Ils ont choisi le CDUSN cette année pour leur prix Kwame Ture, c'est le nom d'un grand panafricaniste, étoile noire de travail. Et je peux dire aussi que c'est un prix qui est donné chaque année pour la journée de la libération africaine. Alors c'est vraiment très cher et très spécial que le CDUSN, une organisation qui milite pour l'émancipation de l'Afrique à travers les étudiants, à travers le Niger, dans toutes les régions, reçoit cette attestation parce qu'on voit que depuis des décennies, ils ont vraiment gardé un esprit militant, panafricaniste, révolutionnaire, socialiste, qui a poussé ce pays très très loin.
Voilà, donc on applaudit très très fort. Je pense bien que les photographes sont là pour immortaliser le moment. Voilà, félicitations au comité directeur de l'USN qui reçoit cette attestation.
C'est une vidéo. Hein.
Merci infiniment. Merci, camarade SG.
Bon.
Alors, on va poursuivre.
Parfait, merci beaucoup.
Toujours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And now we will pass it to our comrade, Ashlyn, who I believe will be accepting the Kwame Ture Award for the Communist Party Marxists of Kenya.
Hello, comrade. Hello.
Hello, comrade. Yes. Yeah, we wanted to pass it to you so you can accept the award, the Kwame Ture Black Star Award for the Communist Party Marxists of Kenya.
Yes, I accept the award, comrade. Do you want me to speak about anything about the party?
Yes, definitely. And then just about like the current struggles going on that you guys are engaged in right now in Kenya, and then obviously across the continent as well. And if you can put your video on, that would be great, but I know you were having some technical difficulties, so if you can't, then.
Okay, yes. So on behalf of the Communist Party Marxist Kenya, I'd like to share our appreciation for also the work that the All African People's Revolutionary Party is doing across the continent and even across the world. So today, even as we have the celebrations of African Liberation Day, I must recognize that the All African People's Revolutionary Party was at the center of the preparation, planning, and also the implementation of the entire event. So it's a success because we did not do it alone as the Communist Party Marxist Kenya, but because AAPRP has always been part and parcel of our struggles here. So the Communist Party Marxist Kenya is a Marxist-Leninist political party whose ideology is embedded on the communist ideology. And we have anti-imperialist anti-capitalist struggles, and also recognize the current conditions of our people, which are semi-colonial, semi-federal uh, conditions. So Kenya is not just a super capitalist country because it still has remnants of semi-federal, semi-colonial kind of remnants. So even as we battle in terms of overthrowing and overcoming the systemic crisis that have been embedded or are very present and harsh to our conditions, we keep in mind that we cannot do this without talking about the National Democratic Revolution. So the National Democratic Revolution is a mandate given to the party by the Second National Congress of the Communist Party that happened last year. And it's because we have studied our concrete conditions and we have understood the character of our struggle and the nature of our society. And the NDR is mainly a defiant tactical strategy for us to unite with progressive, revolutionary, and even vacillating class in an attempt, to ensure that we finished our independence. So at the moment, the party has done incredibly well in terms of number one, building the party of a new type. Because in the recent past, we've also battled with a lot of issues within the party, especially the left's deviations, whereby you get that we have comrades who have vacillated in terms of the understanding of our ideology. And in that, we've been through some processes, specifically rectification processes to be able to combat such backward and very corrupt practices in the party. Also, we have been hugely involved in cadre generation of the party, because when we talk about building the party of a new type, we don't just want to become a mass organization, but we're actually building a vanguard organization that is ready to get out the correct analysis and feed its theory to the praxis of the Kenyan conditions. So apart from the cadre generation, we have also been hugely involved in using art and culture in terms of giving expression to the kind of society that we want to build and to get to the kind of socialist values that we want to imbue in the party, and also to the masses of our people who support us. So it's one way of winning the masses at heart and fully. Also, we are involved with working with mass groups, so it's basically mass mobilization, and we've done a lot of work in rural Kenya. So simply there is, we work with workers' organizations. Also, we are fortunate enough to have been able to be part and parcel of the processes of cooperative formations in rural Kenya, and also establishing very close and cordial ties with the peasantry around there. And also, we've been able also to build mass organizations that are linked to the party, that is the Revolutionary Youth League and the Revolutionary Women's League. So I don't have much to say, but to re-emphasize on, advancing the NDR also is a Pan-Africanist struggle, and it's not isolated from the broader representation of the gains, setbacks, and opportunities in our collective fight against imperialism, against capitalism, and the neo-colonial rule that has existed in Kenya and also on the continent. So this speaks to both our historical and present day defiance. So our task at the moment is the struggle for unity among our people, and also to ensure that we continue to build our organization so they can rise up against the growing global crisis and the heightened aggression on the Kenyan soil and also African and the new colonial soil. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Comrade Ashlyn of the Communist Party Marxist Kenya. And thank you to all of our Black Star Awards and our acceptees, people who are accepting awards on behalf of people like Comrade Khaled. We appreciate you accepting the award on behalf of Yahya Sinwar, and to the rest of the awardees, the Union of Nigerian Students. We appreciate you. So yeah, and that ends our Black Star Award section, and now we will be moving on to our next panel, which will focus on unity across borders. And I will be introducing our panelists. Again, we want to remind the panelists and everyone speaking to please speak slowly for our interpreters, and we appreciate all your work. Getting into our panelists. Our first panelist that we will introduce is Comrade Beka Mabuza. And they are a member of the Swaziland Political Party Assembly. Comrade Beka Mabuza is a dedicated Pan-Africanist political leader and educator. He currently serves as the Secretary General of the Ngwanye National Liberatory Congress, the NNLC, a movement committed to the fight for democracy, social justice, and the liberation of Swaziland from absolute monarchy. He also served as a head of the Secretariat for the Political Party Assembly, the PPA, which is a collective liberation front formed by 7 political parties working towards a free and democratic Swaziland. Through his leadership, he has contributed significantly to the coordination and advancement of political activism in the country. Beyond his political commitments, Comrade Mabuza is also a mathematics and science teacher by profession, using his knowledge and expertise to educate and empower young minds. His dedication to both political advocacy, education, reflects his commitment to building a better future for the people of Swaziland. So thank you so much, and we appreciate Comrade Mabuza. Will you please come on and discuss unity across borders? One second, we are getting Comrade on camera. Okay, while we wait for Comrade Mabuza to come on, we will try and pass it to Comrade Alasanye Abubakar, and they are a member of the Revolutionary Organization for a New Democracy, which is no longer. Comrade Alassane Abubakar was born on August 31st, 1971, in Buza, Niger. Politically, he was involved with the Union of Nigerian Students from a very early age, and then became an acting Secretary General for the subsection and the position of head of the political committee for the Maradi Department section. In 2020, he re-engaged with the ORDN Tamarwawa, following the crisis in Niger's democratic system and trade union organizations following the failure of 10 years in power of those who claim to be socialists with the PNDS Taraya. Most of his career was spent in Burkina Faso, where he forged a strong relationship with former comrades and companions of the late great comrade Thomas Sankara, Basil Guissou, Fermin Diallo, Zezuma Traore, and Emile Pare. Internationally, he is a member of the Coordinating Council of the West African Peoples Organization. A group of over 33 political and social organizations. Shout out to the West African Peoples Organization. His militant commitment was sparked early in his childhood in the streets, where the harassment of the strongest on the smallest or weakest convinced him that it was necessary to be arduous and committed to the African liberation struggle. This was later reinforced by his reading authors such as Voltaire, Diderot, Victor Hugo, Emile Zola, Bobo Hama, and recently Sheikh Anta Diop, and also in Kwame Nkrumah. So thank you. We will pass it to Comrade Alassane Abubakar. If you can please, again, speak slow, and you will have 2 minutes to discuss unity across borders. Thank you.
Oui, bonjour camarades. Vous m'entendez, camarades?
Hear you perfect. Thank you, comrade.
Bonjour, camarades. Je n'ai pas de feedback. Bonjour, camarades. Moi, c'est Alassane Abouakar, si vous m'entendez. Allô, bonjour, camarades. Comme l'a si bien dit le camarade, moi, c'est Alassane Abouakar. J'interviens depuis le Niger, à Niamey, un pays membre de l'AES. Donc, notre panel s'intitule L'unité au-delà des frontières. Donc, j'ai préparé un petit discours. Oui, camarades, vous m'entendez? Il n'y a pas de feedback. OK. Donc, c'est parfait. J'ai préparé un petit discours sur le panel L'unité au-delà des frontières. Il est bien dit que les événements qui se passent dans le monde nous interpellent tous. Et c'est en ce sens que j'ai préparé une petite contribution que je vais vous lire en direct. J'espère que tout le monde m'entend. Donc, camarades panafricains, militants anti-impérialistes et révolutionnaires du monde, nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour porter haut la voix de la dignité africaine, pour rappeler une vérité ancienne mais toujours brûlante d'actualité, l'Afrique aux Africains. Cette formule emblématique de Marcus Garvey, père du panafricanisme, sonne comme un appel radical à la souveraineté et à la libération. Certains l'ont comparé à un sionisme noir, mais cette lecture essentialiste, une race, une couleur, une culture, un territoire, ne saurait être comprise sans la situer dans le combat contre l'aliénation et l'exclusion. Webb Dubois, lui, nous proposait une autre lecture, le noir américain transformé par l'histoire et le contact culturel ne peut ignorer son américanité. Pourtant, derrière leurs divergences apparentes, Garvey et Dubois s'accordaient sur l'essentiel, l'existence d'un peuple noir, blessé par l'histoire, réclamant justice et réparation. Comme l'a si bien dit l'historien Hamzat Bakari Nabara, il y a deux manières d'être noir, mais une même conscience, celle d'appartenir à une humanité opprimée, porteuse d'un projet politique, ni nationalisme étroit, ni racisme inversé. Ce que Garvey et Dubois et plus tard Nkrumah ont défendu, c'est la création d'un État africain fort, unifié, porté soit par la diaspora, soit par les peuples du continent dans un esprit de solidarité. Kwame Nkrumah nous avertissait déjà, l'Afrique aux Africains ne signifie pas l'exclusion des autres, mais l'exigence d'un respect de la souveraineté démocratique de la majorité africaine. Oui, le panafricanisme est antiraciste. Il est un humanisme radical. Il ne cherche pas à soumettre l'Europe et les autres peuples. Il cherche à redresser la dignité africaine. Il est une réponse politique et morale à l'exploitation coloniale, un rempart contre l'impérialisme. L'impérialisme, lui, ne dort jamais, on l'a toujours dit. Il est transfrontalier, transatlantique, sans morale ni visage. Tel Charib et Silla réunis, il anéantit toute alternative. L'impérialisme américain a succédé à l'impérialisme anglais sans jamais embrasser la voie révolutionnaire du socialisme. Il n'a pas aboli les classes. Il n'a pas construit cette fraternité universelle. Et c'est contre cette trahison que nous, panafricanistes, socialistes, révolutionnaires du monde, devons lutter sans relâche. Le 24 mai 1963, à Addis Abeba, Nkrumah a déclaré « Nous devons nous unir ou périr ». 60 ans plus tard, cet appel est d'une actualité brûlante aujourd'hui. Face aux frontières issues du colonialisme, face à la fragmentation entretenue par le néocolonialisme, s'unir est devenu un impératif vital. Cette union ne se pense pas uniquement à l'échelle africaine. Elle s'inscrit dans la tradition de l'internationalisme révolutionnaire, celui-là qui a soutenu l'Algérie, le Vietnam, le Chili, la Namibie, l'Angola. Celui que Cuba a incarné, notamment lors de la bataille cruciale de Quito Canaval. Car l'impérialisme mondial, notre riposte doit l'être autant. Depuis la destruction de l'Irak jusqu'à l'assassinat de Kadhafi, en passant par la complicité honteuse des Nations Unies dans les crises d'Haïti, du Sahel ou de Palestine, nous assistons au triomphe d'un mensonge organisé par les puissants. Ce mensonge a même porté le visage de Colin Powell, homme noir, utilisé comme masque moral d'une agression impériale. Aujourd'hui, nous devons briser le silence. La guerre par procuration en Ukraine, les massacres en Palestine, le chaos au Sahel, au Congo, en Haïti, au Soudan, etc., etc., sont autant de signes que l'impérialisme ne reculera devant rien. Ils pensent que nous ne sommes rien. Ils pensent que nous ne ferons rien. Mais le vent tourne. L'éveil des peuples du Sahel à travers la Confédération des États du Sahel, Mali, Niger, Burkina, est un acte de rupture inédit. La victoire populaire au Sénégal du PASTEF, de Bassirou Diomaye Faye et Ousmane Sonko est un signal fort. Le soutien massif aux dirigeants révolutionnaires comme Ibrahim Traoré témoigne d'un sursaut historique. Camarades, ce que nous vivons est un moment de bascule. Le capitalisme néolibéral vacille. Le droit international est piétiné. Les masques sont tombés. Nous n'avons plus à attendre. L'époque appelle une force nouvelle, une force organisée, une force panafricaine et internationaliste. Cette force doit naître de notre union. Nous devons relier ce qui est séparé. Les peuples, les luttes, les mémoires. L'histoire nous enseigne que ce ne sont pas les majorités silencieuses qui changent le monde, mais les majorités agissantes, unies et déterminées. Amilcar Cabral nous a mis en garde. La faiblesse idéologique est notre plus grande faiblesse. Je répète, la faiblesse idéologique est notre plus grande faiblesse. C'est pourquoi il faut reconstruire notre pensée révolutionnaire, revisiter notre passé, nous réarmer politiquement et renaître. Comme le disait aussi Jean Jaurès, ce n'est pas la force des choses, ce n'est pas par la force des choses plutôt que la révolution s'accomplira, mais par la force des hommes. Aujourd'hui, il est temps d'assumer nos utopies. Elles sont le germe de l'avenir. Sortir de la CEDEAO, briser les accords de défense néolibéraux était une utopie. Refuser les bases militaires étrangères était une utopie. Se soutenir entre peuples, même pauvres, contre l'impérialisme riche et armé était une utopie. Mais les peuples du Sahel en sont parvenus à rendre ça une réalité. Oui, camarades, l'utopie d'aujourd'hui est la réalité de demain. Lutter, c'est donner aux compagnons tombés, à nos martyrs, l'espoir qu'ils ne sont pas morts pour rien. S'unir dans cette lutte au-delà des frontières, c'est les ressusciter. Comme le peuple du Sahel, les panafricanistes et les révolutionnaires du monde ont ressuscité Thomas Isidore Noël Sankara le 17 mai 2025. Après Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Amilcar Cabral, par le peuple ghanéen, congolais et bissau-guinéen. Vive la révolution socialiste, vive la révolution panafricaine, gloire à nos martyrs, la lutte continue, camarades. Merci. Donc, voilà le message que j'ai envoyé au monde à l'occasion de cette journée de libération africaine, 25 mai. Donc, comme on l'a si bien dit, il faut s'unir au-delà des frontières. Ces frontières que nous vivons aujourd'hui là, qu'on s'appelle Nigériens, Togolais, Congolais ou Ghanéens, c'est accepter sa domination, c'est accepter son annihilation. En tant que Nigérien, je me sens un aliéné. En tant que Togolais, vous devez vous sentir un aliéné. Parce que ces frontières agissent comme des chaînes qui nous maintiennent dans des enclos. Donc, il faut briser ces chaînes-là pour que l'Africain, d'une part et d'autre, depuis la Libye jusqu'au Cap, puisse se déplacer, puisse commercer, puisse échanger. Avant la pénétration coloniale, l'espace africain n'avait aucune cicatrice. Toutes ces frontières qui sont des cicatrices sont autant de douleurs qu'on a infligées à notre mère Afrique. Au Sahel, la frontière, c'est le marché. Si vous avez une marchandise en Libye, votre frontière, c'est le marché où vous allez partir vendre. Il n'y a pas de raison que ces frontières nous empêchent d'aller vendre jusqu'au Cap. Voilà comment nous avons compris le panafricanisme ici au Niger, et notre lutte est de faire en sorte que personne ne réfléchit en tant que Nigérien, personne ne réfléchit en tant que Burkinabé, personne ne réfléchit en tant que Congolais, que nous réfléchissions en tant qu'Africains. Et c'est la seule façon, comme l'a dit Sankara, de gagner notre liberté. Voilà, donc la lutte, c'est effacer ces frontières, qui d'ailleurs sont des frontières fictives, qui ne passent que par des voies aménagées. Tant qu'une voie n'est pas aménagée, le berger du Niger, c'est le berger de la Centrafrique, c'est le berger du Bénin, c'est le berger de la Côte d'Ivoire. C'est le même peuple. Pour preuve, notre président Tanja Mamadou est d'origine mauritanienne. Par le nomadisme et le pastoralisme, il s'est retrouvé tchadien et nigérien à la force du temps. Donc, il n'y a pas de raison qu'on continue dans des cloisons fabriquées pour nous par l'impérialisme pour continuer à nous faire du mal. Il faut sortir de ces frontières et c'est cette expérience que l'AES est en train de faire de façon inédite depuis que l'Afrique a été balkanisée, depuis que les indépendances ont été confisquées. Nous sommes en train de reprendre les choses et de remettre les choses à l'endroit où l'Occident, en 1885, a morcelé l'Afrique. Merci, camarades.
Thank you so much, comrade. We appreciate you, comrade Abu Bakar from Niger. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your comments on unity across borders. We will now try and pass it back to Comrade Mafafa, who is again from the Swaziland Political Party Assembly. So go ahead, Comrade Mafafa, if you can.
Thank you, Chair. Am I audible enough? Can you hear me? Or should I turn off the video maybe so that I can be loud enough?
Yeah, we hear you perfectly, comrade.
Thank you, Program Director. One may take this opportunity to send my revolutionary greetings to the leadership, members, and all fellow Pan-Africanists present in this platform. Speaking here, as introduced, is Comrade Begum Mafafa Mabuz, the head of Secretariat of the political party assembly, a liberation front formed by 7 political parties in Swaziland, bordering South Africa and Mozambique. It is with honor to present under the ALT team, Africa for Africans, revolutionary Pan-Africanist unity across borders in the battle for socialism against imperialism. My main subject will be unity across borders as we pursue the struggle for a unified socialist Africa. Our African homeland is still divided by the so-called borders as per the 1884 Berlin Conference, which when unpacked and addressed shall assist our discussion in the course of our conflict. Our struggle with the scramble of Africa conference between 1884 to 1885, where it began in Germany, Berlin, when England, France, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Italy, and Germany, and other European nations divided the African continent like sliced cake amongst themselves in total disregard of its inhabited native national, political system, cultural, and traditional practice and social structures. The European nations' war to conquer our land from the 19th and 20th century had very serious effects to African nationality. Here are some of the effects that we have been facing as a continent. One, socially. Traditional and social structures were disrupted as European powers imposed their own system of governance, education, and religion. Indigenous cultures and languages were extremely suppressed. Many families were separated due to forced labor, migration, and the imposition of colonial borders that split ethnic groups. Colonial policies were extremely marginalizing women, reducing their non-traditional roles in society and economies. In the economical perspective, African economies were restructured to serve European interests, focusing on extraction of raw materials, which may include cotton, sugarcane. This led to exploitation of African labor and resources. African lost vast amount of land to European settlers and colonial administration, leading to displacement and poverty. Traditional trade network was destroyed and African economies became dependent on European markets. Lastly, we'll focus on the effect in the political perspective. Traditional leadership, many African kings, queen, chiefs, and other traditional leaders were either co-opted, depossessed by colonial authorities, leading to a loss of indigenous governance systems. Africans were subjected to authoritative colonial government with no representation on their political rights. Colonial boundaries often divided ethnic groups on forced rival groups together, sowing seed of future conflicts. At the destruction of Africa rule dignity, the European powers benefited immensely. They benefited economically, politically, socially. Colonial administrations and secular personal benefits. They benefited in the wealth and power. Colonial officials and secular benefited from land ownership, cheap labor, and the extraction of resources. Europeans in Africa enjoyed privileged status, often living in segregated communities with access to better amenities. The long effects of these effects, many African traditions and practices were lost, extremely marginalized. The imposition of European values created a sense of inferiority and identity struggles amongst Africans. On the economic perspective, the focus on resource extraction, cash crops left many African economies underdeveloped and dependent on foreign markets. The wealth generated from Africa resources largely benefited European, leaving Africans in poverty. Politically, instability attributed to colonial borders and the suppression of traditional governance system contribute to post-independence conflicts and instability. Neocolonialism. After independence, many African nations remained economically and politically dependent on former colonial powers. When we look at this effect, a way forward we shall require. There is a role that needs to be played by continental and regional bodies, such as the African Union and all these bodies like ECOWAS. Economic integration promote inter-African trade, economic cooperation to reduce dependence on foreign markets. In order to deal with conflict resolution, we must address border disputes and ethnic tensions stemming from colonial borders. We must support initiatives to preserve and protect African language, tradition, and heritage. All African states need good governance to strengthen democratic institutions and ensure equitable resources distribution. Education, we must invest in education that emphasizes Africa history and values to foster a sense of identity and pride. To diversify our economy, we must move away from resource-dependent economies by investing in agriculture, technology, and manufacturing. Reparations and retribution. Advocate for exploitation of African resources and the return of stolen artifacts. In conclusion, the scramble for Africa had profound and lasting effects on the continent, sharpening its social, economic, political landscape in profound ways that still felt even today. While European powers benefited immensely, African societies were left grappling with the consequence of colonialism. Addressing these challenges requires concentrated efforts of the continent, regional and national level to promote development and preserve cultural heritage and ensure a more equitable future. It is important for activists to collaborate across borders, creating programs and activities where cadres will be able to share analysis of our different situations, will harden our collective understanding of how imperialism operates globally. Working on anti-imperialist projects across borders will strengthen our forces in this global fight, while forging true African unity. For example, here in Swaziland, we are fighting against feudalism, absolute monarch of King Mswati III, and collaboration amongst Pan-Africanist parties in the Southern Africa like Mozambique, Swaziland, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, whom around Swaziland shall play an important role in advancing our liberation struggle. Given our historical background, the establishment of borders across Mozambique to Swaziland resulted in the formation of one large soldier blockade at Mapiveni from Lomahasha border gate in order to sabotage the ongoing African struggle that was conducted by Dr. Ambrose Wane, the founding president of the Ngwana National Liberatory Congress, and Prof. Robert Marisosobugwe from the PAC. Due to this social blockade, APLA and MK cadres met harsh resistance at Mapiven. May I conclude by giving all Pan-Africanists in this platform the true political landscape of what is happening in Swaziland. Swaziland became an absolute monarch on the 12th April 1973, when King Sobhuza II abolished the 1968 constitution by former colonizers and assumed executive and legislative judicial state power. The apartheid regime was concerned about Swaziland becoming a Pan-African state. The consolidation of protection for freedom fighters coming from South Africa, particularly APLA and Umkhonto Civil Military Wing, to protect its interests, it then helped Sobhuza draft the 60 days detention without trial. The NNC was therefore banned together with all political parties, similar organizations, and their leadership were incarcerated under the 60 days detention. The political party assembly intentions to conduct mass power against the dictatorship of an absolute monarch government. Through fostering a non-violent people's movement, protest action was crushed by a refusal of permit for public order and military deployment, ushering a democratic dispersion guaranteeing a people's sovereignty state must be still pursued, followed by a constitutional framework mandated and adopted by citizens and an electoral process that provides pluralism before 2028. Our call to all fellow Africanists, human rights defenders, the world, is to assist the PPA in the cause for self-defamation from the royal dictatorship in pursuing non-violent mobilization, in contribution in human resource material, financial, and ideas to obtain our political roadmap and conducive environment. Here is our political roadmap: conducive environment for dialogue, declaration of intent, national dialogue, transition authority, making and adoption of democratic constitution, multi-party democratic election. If we speak about conducive environment, we mean that the system, the King Mswati system, must stop the killings, removal of army from the streets, removal of hostilities, and banning and registration of political parties, provision for the return of political exile, release of political prisoners, guarantee of human rights, in particular the freedom of speech and assembly, guarantee of the independence of judiciary, removal of repressive law. Fellow Africanists, our destiny is strengthening the unity of Africa and its diaspora for the total unification and dignity and self-governance and economic emancipation and defense for all our people. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Comrade Mafafa Mambuza, again from Swaziland and the People's Party Assembly. We appreciate you so much. And again, we want to highlight the fact that the African liberation struggle is in its most intense forms in terms of the Sorari people and in terms of the struggle going on in Swaziland. And so we definitely